What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego back with some more boxing. Now it looks like a great night of boxing. I'm trying to get all my predictions out of there, at least the big ones. Great night of fights, really. We have HBO and Showtime both putting on exciting matchups, fresh matchups, new faces, new matchups, and a great night of boxing. So I'm looking forward to it. I definitely have to DVR one and watch one live because they're going on concurrently, simultaneously. So, some difficult matchups to pick. None more difficult than this particular one. And this is for Austin Trout versus Erislandy Lara. And this is difficult because there's so many different variables. And um, for me, it was the hardest to make. The Rigondeaux fight, um, it could be difficult. Ekbeko might look good in spots, but I think Rigondeaux's just more surgical, more fundamentally sound and technical. So I predict him to win. Zab Judah and Paulie Malignaggi, that's a trickier fight. But again, this is the hardest one for me to predict. Austin Trout versus Erislandy Lara. I'm going to break it down in this video, let you know why I picked who and what I see. Um, First of all, you have two southpaws, so it could be a stinker. It could be an exciting fight. Um, it's going to be interesting to see what type of fight. I expect to be a high speed chess match. Both fighters seem prideful. Both fighters seem very competitive. Um, they both have had some strong words for the opposing person, and ultimately, they're both looking for bigger and better things. Austin Trout was undefeated. He faced Canelo. Canelo gave him some different looks, threw him off. Um, so in his last fight, we seen a vulnerable Austin Trout. He was hurt in the middle round against Canelo. Canelo knocked him down. Canelo um, showed some different tricks where Canelo played more or less the counterpuncher, and he made Austin Trout the aggressor, which didn't really suit Austin Trout. Plus, with the open scoring, that further dug Austin Trout in the hole because he knew he was down by so much on the judges' scorecards when they revealed it to his corner that he was forced to fight at a pace and a style in those later rounds that really doesn't suit him. It's not becoming of his style, and he ultimately lost that fight. But I do know both fighters are looking for those bigger paydays. Austin Trout wants to redeem himself and get a Canelo fight. We know Canelo is a superstar in terms of popularity, even though he lost to Mayweather. That probably only made him more popular. So Austin Trout wants to get those types of fights and avenge those losses, or that loss. Erislandy Lara, he's also looking for bigger paydays. He wanted to fight Canelo. So there's a lot that waits in the wings of this particular fight. Will Mayweather defend at 154? Obviously, that's a big fight if either one of them were to land that. So both fighters want to look good. Both fighters want a Canelo. Austin Trout probably wants a rematch, and then Erislandy Lara wants to face Canelo for the first time. Um, so there's a lot at stake for both fighters, and both fighters were really showing us a side of vulnerability in their last fight. Austin Trout again got hurt by Canelo, and he had to bite down, get back up, and fight hard to stay in the fight and whatnot. Canelo was fighting in spurts, kind of let him off the hook, because even the round Austin Trout was knocked down in, I think he went on to um, win the rest of the round when he was severely hurt. So I don't know if Canelo had stamina issues or whatnot, but Canelo definitely let him off the hook, and didn't really show that finisher spirit that he has in other fights. Um, as far as Erislandy Lara in his last fight against Alfredo Angulo, which I thought was going to be a whitewash, it actually turned out to be a very competitive fight. That was on the Josecito versus Marcos Maidana undercard. Great fight. Angulo showed that he's slow, but he's very powerful and still dangerous as long as you have him in front of you. Angulo cut off the ring excellent against Erislandy Lara, who's normally a terrific boxer. Erislandy Lara, he showed that he's macho and he can get back up. He got knocked down twice in that fight, got back up and composed himself, got himself back in the fight. Later stopping Angulo. Angulo had this huge swelling, and he had this fucking massive like blood clot or some shit forming on his head. So we've seen Erislandy Lara also vulnerable, but also weather the storm. Erislandy Lara won his fight. Austin Trout lost his last fight. So very interesting because I've seen both fighters vulnerable. Um, as far as Erislandy Lara, his fight against Vanes Matarosen, he didn't look that great. He didn't look his regular self. Normally, he's a very clinical boxer. He's beat guys like Paul Williams, who's always a threat. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate what happened to Paul Williams, but at the time, Paul Williams is still a threat. I thought he was robbed in that fight, Erislandy Lara. That was a clear victory for Erislandy Lara. So this dude can box. We know that he can box. That's one thing we do know. Plus, he's Cuban, so he comes from the Cuban school, Cuban upbringing. Slick, kind of slippery. He's a southpaw, very crafty, and so is Austin Trout. Austin Trout has different styles. He played more or less that aggressor in his fight with Canelo. Didn't really suit him. In this fight, he probably doesn't have to do that. Like I said, both fighters are going to be looking to make a dent, a very solid impression on the 154-pound division. There's a lot of great fights, possibly a rejuvenated Cotto. So if Austin Trout wants to rematch Cotto, that's a nice size payday. Erislandy Lara, I'm sure, would want to fight Cotto. Huge payday for him. So there's a lot on the line. I'm picking Erislandy Lara to win. I think he just etches Austin Trout in a few categories. Power is one of them. I don't know if Austin Trout has enough power to command Erislandy Lara's attention to the point where he's ever going to be in severe danger, I guess you can say. It's boxing, anything can happen. Austin Trout, he's not a Paulie Malignaggi in terms of his punching power, but he's definitely not a Gennady Golovkin either or a Kovalev. So I don't know if Austin Trout has the power. I definitely think Erislandy Lara beats him in the power department, possibly even in the speed department. Erislandy Lara kind of has some deceptive speed, not only with his hand speed, but with his feet. I think he might have the quicker feet, quicker hands, and etch him in the power category as well. Very clinical. I think it's going to be a high speed chess match. Both fighters, I think, are going to look good in the fight, steal some rounds. Both fighters seem very prideful, and again, there's a lot at stake for both fighters. So Austin Trout, I'm picking Erislandy Lara, but you guys really don't know how hard this is because it really can go in either way. It's like a Timothy Bradley versus Marquez type of fight. It's not necessarily going to be nonstop explosions from the time like a Brandon Rios and Mike Alvarado from the time the bell rings, but it's going to have that sustained tension because at any moment it's combustible. You don't know what's going to happen. I think overall, Erislandy Lara is going to be a little bit slicker. He's been underrated, I guess you could say, or under the radar of a lot of people at 154. So I think he feels he has more to prove, even if that's not the case. Austin Trout also, he's not necessarily a household name, but he did get a little bit more press with the Canelo fight and that kind of thing. So I think Erislandy Lara is going to come and just be really hungry, just get back to boxing. He's very deceptive with the movement. I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Trout won, but for the sake of a prediction video, I'm picking Erislandy Lara by split decision. I think it could be that close. I don't think either fighter is going to get knocked out, and I don't think either fighter has it in them to quit unless you really put them down or hit him with a hellacious body shot or something. But overall, I think both fighters are going to come in shape, come prepared. So it's really hard for me to pick. I can't stress that enough. It's really hard to pick, but I'll pick Erislandy Lara. I think he has the better resume. He's been in there with some very solid punchers, Vanes Matarosen and Gulo, and he's found a way to get it done. He also fought, it was on the undercard, he fought a guy and he couldn't put him away. I forgot his name off the top of my head, but the dude has a chin. So I think Erislandy Lara has had these just overall different experiences where he's not the bigger puncher in the ring, or the guy's taller like Paul Williams. So I just think he has more experience dealing with the different styles. Plus he's Cuban, so who knows how many times he fought in the amateurs. I just think he has dealt and seen pretty much it all. He's fought people taller than him. He's fought people like Angulo, who hit a lot harder than him. Um, he fought a guy that you're not going to be able to just get out of there and knock that dude out. If I can remember, I'll put the dude's name in the description in case you're wondering who I'm talking about with the chin. But it was a pretty it was like a C plus C minus fighter, and he had a chin. And I know Erislandy Lara fought him. I think he might have called Canelo out after the fight or some shit like that, a little while ago. But I think Erislandy Lara has dealt with the various styles and been at this moment. He stays really calm, really collected, just like Rigondeaux, just like a lot of the Cuban fighters under pressure. And he has a good poker face. So I'm picking Erislandy Lara by a split decision. Really could go either way. I expect great performances from both fighters, and I think he's just gonna beat him in the power department. Erislandy Lara's shots are gonna look more apparent because he's the harder puncher. They're both slick, but I look for Austin Trout to have a good showing and hold a good account of himself, not get embarrassed in there. So let me know what you guys think. Who wins, Erislandy Lara versus Austin Trout? Very, very hard fight to pick, but it has to be done. Let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.